Okay, hello. How's everybody doing? You guys want to hear a crazy one? Today's Friday, first of all, in California. Shoot. You guys want to hear a nuts one? Check this out. Here, hold on. I got to get the right hat for flame trench and stuff. All right. So, check this out. I decided to go to bed early last night because I was worried about Polaris Dawn launching, and about 20 minutes after I shut up shop and went inside, SpaceX said, "No, we're not doing that." And I'm like, "Oh, that's good. That's great." Yeah, so there's that. That's what's going on there. That's good. But you got some extra sleep still, right? Yeah, I did. I did get a lot of sleep. I'm good. Yeah. Did get a lot of sleep. So, what do we got Flame Trench today at 5. So yeah, what do we want to do? Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not sure I like this, but doing those 2 huge streams and streaming like way past my normal, like screwing up my sleep schedule and doing marathon streams really screwed me up. Yeah. Don't like that. New Satisfactory video. You're watching 10% booster come into port. Yeah.
We have so much.
Oh, okay. What do we got? What is this? Is that Snoot? All right, what do we got?
To talk about today. Holy shit.
Hey.
We're going to talk about quantum tech today. We're going to talk about some stuff that you saw from the teaser video last week. So if you haven't seen that teaser video, you should probably watch it before you watch this video. Also want to mention real quick, usually when we make these teaser videos, we aim for like, we'll make a teaser video. They're roughly like a minute or something like that. Last week's video was 3 minutes long teaser video, which is by far the longest we've ever done. But that's because there's so much cool stuff to showcase here, and I can't wait to talk about this. So let's dive into it. So I'd like to start this video by talking about the end of the teaser video, because at the end of the teaser video, you saw a little cool thing. You saw like a miner placed on a Caterium node, a pure Caterium node, by the way. And
nice, 9-8.
What did we see? We saw like a shiny new belt.
You watch hold on real quick. I'm gonna catch up with the YouTube chat. 9-8, you watch 5 hours of building crane and crane accessories. We need a better pin for that damn thing. I'm kind of dreading that we have to model something, but yeah. We'll probably end up jumping back into modeling in KSP on the other side of Labor Day. Because I thought EJ was on the stream with a shaved head. I'm not at Snoot levels, but I'm almost there. We're almost there. So, yeah. Yeah. Dude, I can't believe that doing those streams screwed me up so much, guys. Yeah, the last 2 streams have been like short, weak streams, like an 8 and a 5, dude. It's gross. Gross. But yeah, the schedule got a little weird this week because of Polaris Dawn and because of Labor Day weekend. Yeah. Labor Day weekend plans, but
all right,
anyway, let's listen to stuff.
I'm gonna tell you. So that is the Mark 6 belt, all right? So there's another version of the conveyor belt, the Mark 6 belt. A lot of people have been speculating about this, like how are we gonna solve that problem? And we were always gonna do this. We've just been like lying when we said we didn't know. So yeah, we have Mark 6 belts in the game, and we haven't changed any of the numbers. So on a pure node, maybe you didn't know this, but on a pure node, when you placed a Mark 3 miner, you overclocked it fully, it would say that it would output 1,200 resources per minute. But in actuality, there were no belts in the game that would be able to support that. and now there
Hey,
is,
Oki.
and that comes in the form of the Mark 6 conveyor belt. And here we have it. Look at that. Wow, I'm in the game, running around. Quick side note, I am playing this with advanced game settings enabled. I have like, I have fly mode on, and like, there's no power on at the moment as well, so you won't see that stuff. I think it's just easier if I have this on so I can demonstrate all this stuff. Just so you know, and these are all settings that you can have in the game if you didn't know. So if anything sounds like a little bit out of place, it's probably because I have AGS on. Anyways, so yeah, here's the Mark 6 conveyor belt. Look at that. Wow, shiny. It even has a cool lift that looks like this. Isn't that awesome? And yeah, it's transporting 1,200 resources per minute, which is a lot. And just to give you like a little bit of sense of scale, right? On a pure node like this is a pure iron node. On a pure iron node, overclocked by 3 miner, 1,200 resources, that equates to like 40 smelters on one single pure node. That is pretty whack. Just look at this when you look at the thing ticking up. That's pretty nutty. And that's just the one conveyor belt, right? So yeah, have fun with that. Now it also maybe makes sense when we talked about the moving of nodes and whatnot in the world. Like there are still more resource nodes on the map than there were before, but a lot of people are a little bit concerned. We're like, why are you guys moving around the nodes in this manner? And it's partly because we needed to balance the map with this in mind.
No,
yeah,
I'm here.
that's that. So not only are
That's the title of the stream. I'm here. I'm just listening.
Getting that pure node action going. It's also great for when you want to balance your own factories, when you needed more than what the Mark 5 belt could supply. Screws is one of those things where it's nice to have a faster belt, even if you don't output that fast on like within your factory. Being able to transport resources at this speed and whatnot is still pretty great. But I don't have much more to say about Mark 6 belts at the moment. Let's just dive into the quantum tech in tier 9. So in tier 9, you're gonna get access to quantum tech. Quantum tech features some of the most complex production chains in the game. And there's a lot of really cool like synergies between the different production chains in tier 9. It's kind of hard to talk about one without talking about the other, but we're gonna start by talking about the converter. So the converter is this elusive building we've had in all our teasers. You guys have seen it, but you haven't fully seen it. So there you have it. So what is the converter? As the name implies, the converter is mainly there to convert one raw resource into another. And there's a lot of cases why you'd want to do this. It's great for like avoiding logistical issues. Say that you're setting up a factory and you realize like, oh, I need a sulfur node, and the sulfur node is like way off in the distance. Instead of having to like logistically solve that by like using trains or vehicles or whatever, you can use the converter to convert like one of the other resources into sulfur. It's also a great way to sort of balance out any factories that you have already set up and you need like some extra, resources here and there to be able to balance out your production lines. And there's also an aspect of like, if there are different resources on the map that you feel are lacking, for instance, a lot of people complain about the fact that there aren't enough sulfur nodes on the map. We have added more sulfur nodes, but you might still feel this way. Now it is possible to sort of help yourself and take the resource nodes on the map that you're not using to be able to convert them into something more useful. But there's a limit as to how you can convert each resource. You can't take any resource and convert it into whatever. There's a logic as to like what each resource on the map can be converted to, but it is possible to chain them up to get the from the node that you're starting from to the resource that you need. But in order to convert one resource to another, you need one extra little thing, some little secret thing you need to put in there, and that is so by combining iron ore, for instance, with you can create sulfur. But that's not the only thing the converter does. It has many tricks up its sleeve, and one of which is to produce one of the new ingots in the game, which is fixed site ingots. And in order to create fixed site ingots, you need to take an existing ingot and combine it with similar to the regular conversion. There's actually multiple ways you can create this ingot, and that is by combining either iron ingots, deuterium ingots, or aluminium ingots with, depending on the complexity of the ingot that you put in, you get a different yield. So aluminium ingots, for instance, will yield more fixed site ingots rather than if you just used iron ingots. The description for fixed site ingots is that it's synthesized by Fixits to be the perfect construction material. And with the fixed site ingot, you're going to be able to produce this little cheeky bugger. So this is the Fixite Trigon, and it is perfectly shaped for all construction challenges. Its performance is so exceptional, it basically solves structural engineering. There you have it. Essentially, this part here, the Fixite Trigon, is gonna be used in a lot of these like high-end recipes. So this is like a little bit of like low tier thing you're gonna need to figure out and produce these in mass quantities so you can produce some of these more complex parts. But that's not the only thing the converter can do. It can also produce this part, and this is a time.
It's me cube, mate. We gotta go to Bendigo, chat. We have to go to Bendigo to get me cube.
Time crystal. So time crystals are diamonds that have been reconfigured on a subatomic level in the converter to retain a time periodic self-organizing structure. And I mentioned diamonds because that's the part that needs to be put into converter to be able to produce this part. And diamonds are created in the particle accelerator by putting in coal. You need a lot of coal, by the way. It's like 600 coal per 30 diamonds. You might have been wondering like why we added so many coal nodes. Partially this. So to produce these time crystals, you first need to make diamonds in the particle accelerator with coal, and then you feed that into the converter to create time crystals. Similar to the particle accelerator, the converter is also one of those things that fluctuates in power, so you need to keep that in mind. The converter has 2 conveyor belt inputs and has 1 conveyor belt output and 1 pipe output, and we'll talk more about that pipe output later. That's not everything new about the converter, but in order for me to keep talking about the converter, I also need to talk about the other new machine. So let's do that instead. So the other new machine we're adding in Tier 9 is called the Quantum Encoder. So yeah, the Quantum Encoder, huh? What a concept. The Quantum Encoder is probably the machine that produces the most complex parts in the game. Down to the quantum level. Similar to the converter and the particle accelerator, the quantum encoder also fluctuates a lot in power, and it fluctuates way more than either of the other machines. So you need to keep that in mind. And the thing about this machine is that it solves 2 of the biggest mysteries we've had in early access, right? So in Satisfactory, up until this point, there's been references to 2 weird parts that you haven't been able to produce: the superposition oscillators and the quantum computers, right? And while the quantum encoder does produce superposition oscillators, it does not create quantum computers. So eagle-eyed viewer may have noticed in the teaser video that we did see the quantum computer. It is there in the teaser video. You can see it coming out of the manufacturer, but what people have spotted is the fact that the recipe for quantum computers is the same as supercomputers. Isn't that strange? Yes, it is. Are we gonna get an explanation for that? Maybe. So yeah, what's going on? What's happening here? So I'm gonna give you the full rundown here, and it's a bit confusing.
I got it
okay,
up, Rick,
but
yeah.
just bear with me, all right? So quantum computers are not a thing anymore, okay? Quantum computers are gone from the game. But they're not gone. They're still, if you have quantum computers in your inventory, they're gonna exist, but they're not gonna do anything. So what has happened is we have replaced the mesh for supercomputers with the mesh from quantum computers. So these are supercomputers that you're seeing rolling here on the belt, being produced from the manufacturer. And being fed into the quantum encoder. We felt that it was strange that you would create quantum computers and then put them into the quantum encoder. It felt like it made more sense that you would create a quantum computer from a supercomputer, and you would do that in the quantum encoder. So we have moved things around a little bit. We also really like this mesh. We think it's really cool. So that's why we decided to replace supercomputers with the mesh of quantum computers, but these are not quantum computers, they're supercomputers. Does this make sense? I don't know if it does. All you need to know is that these are supercomputers, and they're being fed into the quantum encoder. And to take the place of quantum computers, we have to replace it with this new part. And this part is called the neural quantum processor. But it's not like this is replacing quantum computers. It's a new part. And it's not gonna like change quantum computers into this part. This is like a new part. For anyone who's never played before 1.0, this won't be a problem, but whatever. So in order to produce neural quantum processors, you need supercomputers, you need Fixite Trigons, that new like triangle thing that we saw from the converter. You need time crystals, which are also produced in the converter. And you need something called excited photonic matter. And this is where the pipe from the converter comes into play. Because you may have spotted that from the converter, there is a pipe coming out of it, but there's nothing going into the converter. So it's just like, what's going on? And yes, this is like one of the only resources in the game that is produced by a machine that doesn't require any input. And that is because the excited photonic matter is being produced from the converter by the fact that it is built by oscillators. It is being created by inducing intense photon interactions through exposure to the in a high energy environment inside the converter. So that's the reason why that's happening. So yeah, in order to get excited photonic matter, you only need to place down converters. And if you need more excited photonic matter, you just need to build either more converters or you can overclock the converters. So excited photonic matter is not a liquid, but it's also not a gas. It's also not a solid, and it's not a plasma. It's like its own thing. And Mark provided me with some scientific bullshit reason as to like why it's not a gas or a liquid, so I'm just gonna read that off. So in essence, excited photonic matter is a quantum state of matter that doesn't fit into the classical categories of gas, solid, liquid, or plasma. It's an emergent phenomenon that arises from the interactions between light and matter at the quantum level. And excited photonic matter is neither a gas or a fluid, but it does behave like a gas in the game, so just bear that in mind. All of this will be on the test, by the way, so I hope you took notes. The key thing about quantum encoders is that every single recipe that goes into a quantum encoder will require excited photonic matter. And every single recipe that is produced in the quantum encoder will create a byproduct called dark matter residue. And a similar thing there, dark matter residue is not a gas, it's not a liquid, it's something else. It behaves like a gas though. But more on that in a second. And if anyone tells you it's a gas, it's wrong. They get an F on the test. Before we talk about dark matter residue, I'm gonna show you the superposition oscillator recipe. And in order to create superposition oscillators, you need excited photonic matter, you need alkylate aluminum sheets, you need crystal oscillators, and you need something called a dark matter crystal. Another new exciting part. And this is what that is. This is a dark matter crystal. And it is produced in the
I feel like I'm watching the turbo encabulator.
The particle accelerator. But here's the catch, okay? In order for you to produce the dark matter crystal, you need dark matter residue. So to create a dark matter crystal, you need to combine diamonds together with the byproduct from the quantum encoder, the dark matter residue. So it is a bit strange how you need the byproduct of one part to be able to produce a part that is needed to be able to produce the byproduct. Isn't that strange? Yes, it is. And this isn't the first time we've had in Satisfactory where, you know, you can use the byproduct in one machine to like link it back and use it in a previous step in the chain, such as for like aluminium does that and nuclear and whatnot. Another unique thing with the dark matter residue is also that this is not a this is not something you can package and sync. Like for instance, when you're processing bauxite and that shit, you can take like the water and then package it and then sync it. With dark matter residue, that is not possible. You actually need to produce dark matter crystals to be able to sync those to get rid of this. So how in the heck are you supposed to solve this problem? Well, that's up to you. Figure it out. No. So dark matter residue can also be produced in the converter. So you can take reanimated and put that in the converter, and that will produce dark matter residue. And you can sort of use that to hook it up into your chain and figure it out. So in this case, for instance, when I made this, I'm like, you know, linking it back from the quantum encoder into the particle accelerator, and then I'm also like evening it out with the converter in this case. So you'll need to like figure this out and balance this in your own factory so it makes sense to you. And by combining excited photonic matter, superposition oscillators, neural quantum processors, and magnetic field generators, which by the way, we've changed the recipe for these. You no longer need batteries for them. To make magnetic field generators, now you just use versatile frameworks and electromagnetic control rods. If you combine all these parts together, you're gonna be able to craft one of the new space elevator parts, which is the AI expansion server. And it looks like this. And you're gonna need 1 million of these to finish phase 5. Just kidding. Or am I? So that's the chain within quantum technology, but there is more you can do in the quantum encoder than just produce these parts. and there are two really cool things you can do. So let's dive into that. One really neat thing you can do in the quantum encoder is you can produce synthetic power shards. So you no longer need to go slug hunting. That's still gonna be a thing in the game, by the way. It's not like we're replacing power shards with this. It's just like in the end game, you're gonna be able to produce and automate power shards just in case you want to utilize overclocking a lot more in the end game. And in order to produce synthetic power shards, you need to combine time crystals, dark matter crystals, quartz crystals, and excited photonic matter. And the last thing I want to mention about the quantum encoder is that it's now possible to produce a new power source in Satisfactory. So in the particle accelerator, it's now going to be possible to produce a new power source called Fixonium. And there it is, look at that, isn't that cute? It really brightens up the room. Please don't sue. So yeah, by combining dark matter residue, you know, the byproduct from quantum encoders, singularity cells, which is also a new part, it's produced here in the manufacturer, and you make it by combining nuclear pasta, dark matter crystals, iron plates, and concrete. And the last bit of ingredient to create Fixonium is plutonium waste. Look at that. So for everyone who's been saving up their plutonium waste, one of those things in the game that you can't sink, and it's just like you need to store it and solve that problem, you're gonna be able to use it in the particle accelerator to produce this new part instead. And you may notice that the Fixonium is going into the quantum encoder. What's up with that shit? I'll explain to you in a second, calm down. So yeah, if we go back to the quantum encoder, if you put in Fixonium, you're going to be able to produce a new fuel rod that you can put into nuclear power plants, which is called Fixonium fuel rods. So by combining electromagnetic control rods, fixed site trigons, excited photonic matters, and Fixonium, you're going to be able to create Fixonium fuel rods. But the thing about Fixonium fuel rods is that it is the worst fuel rod out of all the 3 fuel rods you can put in a nuclear reactor. And the reason for that is because this fuel rod doesn't produce any waste. So this is a little bit of a trade-off there. But at least when you have this production chain going, you can completely get rid of waste if you want to. All right, so there you have it. That is everything tied to quantum tech in Tier 9, coming in Satisfactory 1.0. So excited. September 10th, everybody. It's almost here. We're nearly there, so close to the finish line. Super exciting. This has probably been a very long video, but I do have actually one more thing I want to talk about in this video before I leave off, and it has to do with blueprints. So I'd like to take a moment to talk about a little change we made and how blueprints work in Satisfactory. So oh geez, what the shit? Why is this so loud? Holy shit, what's going on? Yo, what the shit is going on out here? Holy shit, lasers?
Okay, there's a lot of words in there that I didn't understand, but all right, all right. Lasers. Yes, science. Okay. Now you understand how I feel when you go off about a rocket engine. Okay, yeah, that's fair. So today, my winter car. I'm moving summer car till next week, next Wednesday. I'm just... Yeah, the double players Don Scrub doing the double back-to-back streams really screwed me up. Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to get back into doing a schedule, keeping the schedule, space newses, etc., and yeah, I'm all screwed up. I am all screwed up. I've been screwed up since Wednesday. Like my internal clock is completely wrecked. So, excuse me, but one hop. Starship's gonna take a little bit, but anyway, just on a quick side note here, I've been watching it in the background. 1062 is in port on Space Coast Live on the shortfall of gravitas. And it's under a tarp. Yeah, it's not happy. Oh, boy. Actually, save the engines mostly. Yeah. Better angles of it from Jenny. Yeah. Ew, there's not much left, man. Yeah, that sucks. Man, that was a heck of an explosion. Look at all the parts just strewn around everywhere. Couple of COPVs right there. Those are still intact. That's it's not ideal. Barge just seems to be okay, yeah. What I'm looking for is an impact point. I want to see if this thing contacted the deck. It really doesn't look like it, dudes. Yeah. The orange is rust, yeah. That's where liquid oxygen leaked all over the place. Or just, I mean, that's just kind of regular abrasion. I don't see a contact point, dudes. I don't, routines are important. Hopefully the long weekend allows you to reset. Yep. I'm looking for a... Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. I'm looking for a dent in the drone ship where it contacted it, but I don't see anything. Maybe right there and maybe right there, but... See, I don't... It's so hard to tell, but it very much seems like from the fire that those engines contacted the deck of the drone ship and then started blowing up. I don't think they did. That was a nozzle-shaped circle. Yeah, but... Yeah, but there's one right there, too. See what I'm talking about? And if I'm looking at that right, there should be another one over here somewhere. Seems like the deck just tanked it. I mean, it wasn't a big hit, but you'd see a mark. Maybe that's the mark we're talking about right there, but... Yeah. I mean, that's the landing strut that snapped completely. Or is it that one? It's hard to say. What a freaking mess, dude. What a mess. What direction did she fall? She fell this way. Actually, she fell in the exact direction that... Yeah. All the parts are strewn around the deck because the drone ship was weeble wobbling through the sea when it came in. So that's why everything is just kind of all over the place. That might not even be the exact point where it contact. Huh. I can't tell if that's debris or if it's a... Oh. Isn't showing these shots? They can't show these shots. These are Jenny's pictures, 9. They wouldn't do it. They're not gonna show those shots, man. This is what they're gonna show. They're gonna show what they can off the cameras, but they should have It should have some pictures of the photographers out there. I think Jerry Pike is the guy that does the photography for them down there. Let's just... Yep. Yep. Yeah. That sucks. All the white residue is fire suppressant. One of the struts is right there. Dude, this thing's... Dude, look. It snapped all the landing legs. All the landing legs are snapped. She came down too hard. She came down too hard. This is Jerry Pike's pictures here. I always try to give credit where credit is due. This happened today. That was leftover. That was a landing that happened, Square B, on Wednesday. Early Wednesday morning. The ship was... This short follow gravitas is just coming in now. See those? Those are the ullage COPVs. Those are helium tanks. The helium tanks that were inside of the RP-1 tank. They're not inside of it anymore. There's a piece of a landing strut right there. The reason why everything is strewn about, guys, isn't because of an explosion. It's from the drone ship rocking around, coming back in. I don't see a broken railing. Yeah. I think the rocket came down right there, and then it fell over here. There's a bent railing right there, Basia. But it's hard to say. Yeah.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
I'd say it came down right there. There's definitely something on the deck of the drone ship that's messed up. The names of these ships really remind me of E&M Bank sci-fi names for starships. Sci-fi names for starships. SpaceX, Starship. That's not a coincidence, man. Yeah. Yeah. Be sure to get a gallon of Java before the flame trench. Yep. Yep, Bob, I'm trying, man. 1062 deserves a proper burial? Screw that. Take those engines, put them on the test stand, see if they work. Screw that. Take the engines out, put them on the test stand, see if they fire. If they fire, put them on another booster. I'm dead serious about that. It's very, very junk. Check Max's pictures. This is coming from Max over at NSF. Ugh. Over here is where I really want to see. He doesn't have it. Yeah, it's not in the picture. Guys, this isn't... That's not really consistent with what we've seen from drone ships, from Falcon 9s contacting the deck. I'm like, I don't know, call me crazy. I really don't have another explanation for what it could be, but that looks like those nozzles are bent from the side, meaning from it tipping over. Which... The reason why I'm getting at that is because we've seen the nozzles. The nozzles kind of push in like a mushroom almost when they've contacted the ground too hard, or in this case, the drone ship. So landing leg failure. Yeah, you could say landing leg failure, Phil, but I mean, obviously that's what happened. I'm not saying that didn't happen. What I'm getting at is that what's the fire coming out of the bottom of the rocket? That pulsed fire that comes out 4 or 5 times. See, I don't think old landing legs are the issue here. I think something else happened with Falcon 9, which is what... I mean, this is just what my gut's telling me. I don't know, man. I hope I'm wrong, to be honest with you. Is the middle gimbal engine? Yeah, of course. There's no pre-burners on this. Like, pretty sure it hit the deck too hard. But Hokie, we've seen, not to be contrarian, dude. It just doesn't explain the fire popping out of the booster before, like, not from the rocket engines. There's fire popping out of the booster before it contacts the drone ship. And then it sets down, and then it just keeps pulsing fire at a rate of, like, I don't know, 1 to 2 hertz or something. It's not. It looks consistent with a detonation. But these engines, look, those engines are crumpled from the side. Guys, the rim of the nozzle would be pushed in. It would be pushed that way if it came down like this. But that's not what happened. That's not what it looks like. It looks like it fell over. The nozzles those 2 nozzles are crumpled from one side. See what I'm talking about? Everything else here is completely intact. Now that suggests that Falcon 9 came down a little bit hard, the landing leg snapped, and then it contacted the nozzles after, like during when it fell over. You ever do the smack the top of a beer bottle trick? Yeah, of course. I'm agreeing with you. Something on the way down may have started to fail and it caused the hard landing. Oh, okay. Yeah. A downdraft? Maybe. It doesn't matter what you think happened. It matters what actually happened. I'm sure SpaceX knows. Well, clearly it's something more than just a landing leg failure here, Red Fox. That's what I'm getting at. Or else if SpaceX was like 100% confident in that, we would have seen a Falcon 9 fly last night. But we didn't. It just doesn't look like that's not consistent with an engine contacting the drone ship, man. Like, those ones did, but it, like, contacting it when it's straight up. It landed, landing leg snapped, and then it fell over. And that's what that looks like. That looks like the other boosters that have done that, you know? Which is interesting to me because, once again, there was a Starlink scheduled for 1 o'clock last night and it didn't fly. It didn't fly. So, I'm just putting it out there. My gut's telling me that that's not just a landing leg failure. It came down hard for a reason. And if that reason has to do with the engines, this might take a little bit longer than we anticipated. Can a Merlin run away? No. What happened? It crashed into the drone ship, Chaotic, after a Starlink mission. The Octograbber's door is open. He's like, I can fix it. I can fix her. I can fix her. Yeah. It's just, I don't know, guys. Something about this doesn't seem right. Like, everyone's saying, like, oh, it contacted the drone ship. You know, the engines contacted the drone ship, and that explains the fire. No, I don't think so. Merlin can't run away. It has no legs. Well, neither can my refrigerator, but people tell me that thing runs. What about the pump? What do you mean, what about the pump? Goalie, what you're asking me right now is like a car getting into a horrific car accident, crashing, the airbags deploy, everything's bad, it's a total write-off, and you're asking me, what about the tire? I don't know. What about the tires? Like, it could have been anything, dude. That's what I'm getting at. I don't think this is just straight landing leg failure. Like, that's not... I mean, it's weird because John Edwards said that they know what's wrong, but the behavior here is, especially that contacting point, I mean, that could just be burnt, whatever. The behavior here is consistent with propulsion, the propulsion anomaly. That's what I'm getting at. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Could it run away like a diesel? No. No. There's valves on the fuel lines. No. Like, I don't know, guys. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Like, I'm not... This isn't just me trying to be contrarian, right? It doesn't explain why Falcon 9 landed hard. You know, okay, it landed hard and snapped the landing leg. We know that. That's what we know from the telemetry, right? It picked up an 8 km/h acceleration, the IMUs. And that's the 8 km/h acceleration is it tipping over. It goes from like 15 when the thing touches down to 8 to 0 and then back up to 8 again as it tips over. And you see a slow acceleration till it hits the ground and blows up, right? Hey, Brandon, what's going on? Yeah, it's just strange, man. Like, once again, you know, the reason why it's like with the whole FAA mishap and getting involved and something isn't right here. Something ain't right. Like, and I'm not trying to be like, whoop, something ain't right here, boy. I tell you what, oh my God. Like here's I just picked this from a thumbnail here, or just from a search. Like, see all this fire? Dude, the engines aren't touching the ground there. If they were touching the ground, you'd see a much bigger explosion. And look, fire's coming out from underneath them. Something went wrong with the engines. It's like, that's the landing burn was a second late, right? And that just could be a trajectory optimization. Something caused this thing to come down, and whatever it is, it's coming from that. Whatever made that right there, because you have all the engines cutting off right there. All the engines are shutting off, and something over here is making a lot of that fire is coming from the side opposite the broken landing leg. See what I'm talking about? Something fishy's going on here. That fire's coming from the opposite side. If the motors contacted the ground, it would have been on the side of the landing leg that failed, right? Because these landing legs are definitely okay. Can Falcon 9 dump propellant? Of course it can. EJ's fishing. Well, something's fishy here. That's why I'm fishing. You got a tackle box, Wiz? Let's go. See, something's weird, man. Something's weird about that. And that's what I mean. The FAA getting involved and all, you know, the TFR for Starlink, for Polaris Dawn going out, and then them rescinding that, and then being like, no, yes, no, yes, no. Something else happened with one of those Merlin engines. Maybe I'm just trying to convince myself. I don't know. We'll talk about it on Flame Trench, right? Something's just weird with that. That doesn't. That's not just a landing leg failure. It's not. It's something is weird with the propulsion. The Merlin engines don't smoke like that. They never have. I've watched a bajillion of these landings. That never happens. They do burp up fire from time to time. You're going to get residual propellant in the lines, right? What if the engine tapped the deck and broke a line in the upper parts of the engine? It's possible, 9.8, but if that was the case, you would have seen some mushrooming on one of the nozzles. You would have seen the nozzles mushroom. The nozzles aren't pushed out like a mushroom. They look mostly intact except for the ones that got crumpled from it falling over. See, look, we have 6 engines that are perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The E9 engine, and then those two are all screwed up. The E9 engine is screwed up because it's tilted to the side that it fell because it was trying to compensate when the thing fell over. At least I think. And it's flat on one side. This is consistent with the Falcon 9 falling that way, right? If it came down and contacted the engines this way, it wouldn't deform like that. They would mushroom. They would start buckling laterally instead of like inward. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I can't find the right words. It's tough to tell because they sprayed this place down with fire suppressant. See all the white residue? That's fire extinguishers or fire suppressor. Could this be the result of SpaceX having go fever? No, probably not. I get you. It'd be super interesting. Like, once again, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I don't want this to happen. This is not good. But, you know, SpaceX will figure it out. But Yeah, maybe. See, and it's also hard to tell because it's hard to tell what's going on because all of the debris is not where it was when the thing landed. It's just shuffled all around the drone ship because the drone ship was weeble wobbling all the way back. So this, guys, look, there's scratch marks all over the deck. See the scratch marks? This thing landed over here. It landed over here, and then the waves scratched the whole, like it moved all that way. See the scratches? Like, so the debris is just strewn around. It's not where it was when it landed. No, Shaw. Hey, Lazar, what's up? Yeah, just super interesting, man. I don't know. Can we compare the landing burn to others? We've seen comparisons, dude. The landing burn was late. It was late. I think it's just a result of SpaceX pushing the limits without the landing. They need to know what the absolute extent is, so they don't know. Maybe. How are you doing today? I'm all right, Lazar. Yeah, everything's good. I was not watching it live, Nathan. I fell asleep. That was the day Polaris Dawn was supposed to go, but they scrubbed it. I think I got within an hour of that thing launching, and I was like, well, if they're going to launch Polaris Dawn again tomorrow, I'm going to have to do another 14er, and yeah. So I was like, I'll go to bed, and yeah, I probably should have stayed up. Remember the days of Falcon 9 launches being a real deal, being a big deal. Yep. Yeah, see, look at Space Coast Live, dude. Look at the nozzles. The nozzles are fine. The only nozzles that are relatively damaged are the ones that got bent over, like that got bent from when the thing tipped over. I was about to say got bent over, but yeah, no, that was a poor choice of words. What should I categorize this segment as? Space news? Categorize it as we're just chatting. I don't know. What do you want? Oh, man. Yeah, it's just something screwy there. Is there any obligation for them to report exactly what failed? They have to. Now the FAA is up their tail. They have to at least they have to report it to them. Guys, if I had to guess, this is probably, I'll bet you it has more to do with the booster flying 22 times. But who knows? But then again, if that was the case, SpaceX would have never, if they weren't sure, they wouldn't have asserted it for flight, But then again, you're gonna figure out what the upper limits of Falcon 9s are eventually, you know what I mean? It definitely leaked something that while it landed. Yeah, something else broke. And CubeGem, whatever broke is definitely probably, if I had to guess, it's probably what caused it to come down hard. Could be metal fatigue. You're going to have to find out, which is, at first, I was kind of inclined to agree with everybody. Everybody's saying, oh, this is, like Eric Berger said it was going to be a quick turnaround. It's going to be a quick turnaround. It's going to be a quick turnaround. Oh, the engines contacted the deck. That's why there's so much fire. It came down hard and snapped a landing leg. Like, well, yeah, of course, but why? See what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Bob, that's your bet. Some components reach their lifespan. Yeah, I think this has everything to do with finding the upper limits of where Falcon 9 can go with the shelf life of certain components. Now, don't get me wrong. I bet you with Falcon 9, if they sat there and just, that doesn't mean like, 22 flights and a booster is done. Whatever part failed, just replace it. Just replace it and get another 22 flights out of the booster until something else fails. But this root cause is a little screwy because of that fire. The fire coming out is not consistent with with it contacting the deck. It's just not. Yeah, I don't know. Weird. Like the whole FAA thing is just weird. Is it grounded? Is it not? Was it grounded? Was it not? Is SpaceX doing a fault tree analysis? They said they know what's wrong, but now they got to prove it. But if that was the case and they knew what was wrong and it was quick, we would have seen a launch already. I originally said after what I saw after this, when we did Space News on like Wednesday or Thursday, I forget. These last 3 days have been a blur. I said they probably wouldn't have flown anyway, even if there was no FAA mishap, and it's probably going to take a second. It's probably going to take a week. This is a weird problem. Workers and resources will do that to you. I didn't play Workers Wednesday. I played it yesterday. And I kind of want to play it again right now, to be honest, because we have the money. We have money. We can just keep going. Kind of want to play it until Flame Trench, dudes. I know this. I apologize. I'm not just doing this because I don't want to do anything else. My schedule got away from me because of this Polaris Dawn stuff. So, doesn't Falcon 9 usually vent the extra fuel after landing? Could they have too much fuel due to increased efficiency? The vent lines aren't near the engines, Journey. They're not near the engines. That would be like spraying fuel on a hot car exhaust. That's not a good idea. The vent lines are up the stack. It started the landing burn late. Yeah. I wouldn't put it past anyone to take a risk with his own cargo and push the envelope. Well, of course they're going to do that. Is Manor Lords worth a buy? Manor Lords is pretty good, but it's early access. It's kind of, once you beat it, there's not much else to do with it. Polaris Dawn got scrubbed it got scrubbed. They're saying it got scrubbed because of recovery conditions. The recovery criteria for that mission is quite high because you're not going to the ISS. But here, SpaceX posted this. They posted this app, like, I logged off last night because I'm like, well, if they're going to try and launch today or Saturday morning, tonight, right? I'd best be getting some sleep. But here, check this out. Look. SpaceX posted this about 20 minutes after I closed up shop last night. Latest forecasts continue to show unfavorable weather conditions in the areas along Florida's coast where Dragon would splash down upon returning from space. Once teams identify the next best opportunity for launch and return to the Polaris Dawn mission, we'll provide an update. Falcon 9 and Dragon remain healthy and on the pad. Sunday morning attempt would kill me. I can't be here on Sundays, guys. I have other stuff to do. What do you do on Sundays? Not internet things. Sunday is my detox day. I get away from the computer and I don't come up into the shop. I don't touch anything. Yeah. I've been doing that for a long time. I just get away from everything. It helps you reset. It would only be for an hour early morning. I admire your optimism, Red Fox. I admire your optimism. And if it scrubs, it's gonna be more than that. I do believe I heard the word workers a bit ago. Am I right? I kind of want to play it, guys. I'm sorry. I want to go back to adhering to my regular schedule, but I'm just, even though I got a lot of sleep, I gotta reset. Doing those 2 huge marathon streams back to back, and yeah, losing a lot. I lost a lot of sleep because of that, and yeah, 36. You know, I don't want to say it's because I'm getting old, but you know what? I'm just gonna ignore it, and I'm just gonna pretend that it was just I just had a bad time. Okay? Can we just go with that? Yeah, let's go with that. Happy birthday, All Systems. Yeah, I saw it was your birthday, man. He's a good Italian boy from the Northeast. He's going to Mass. Sunday is my detox day. Okay. I'm not saying any more. I'm not saying any less. It's my day away from you guys. What I do on that day is none of your business. Okay? That's the one day that I really ask for privacy. Move detox to Monday. You just, that's the opposite of what I just, okay. Yeah, Grizu, I was in a sleep schedule where I would go to bed at like midnight and wake up at like 9 in the morning. And 2 days in a row, I stayed up till like 3, 4 a.m., right? Because you don't, if you're streaming and you stop at like 2 a.m., right? You don't just go to bed. You can't just go to bed right away. You don't come home from work at 5 p.m. and go right to sleep. It just doesn't work like that. Hey, Tally. All Systems gave a beaver nugget to our dog, but it did not go according to plan. She wanted to eat all the beaver nuggets. They love them. Titan loves the beaver nuggets too. This is all Jared's fault. No, it's the ocean's fault. The ocean is angry. But yeah, fellas, I'm kind of like still a little snowed out. So, I mean, workers is kind of really what I want to jump into because I don't want to jump into texturing that part. I'm sorry, I've been kind of avoiding it. My fault. So that's what we'll do. And then, but we got Flame Trench after that. And then, I don't know. What else do we want to do? I said I would try to do a little bit longer stream today. So we'll see. Didn't you plan on MSC today until Flame Trench? I wanted to do MSC yesterday, but SpaceX filed that TFR. So I didn't want to play till... I didn't want to end up doing a gigantic freaking stream. Yeah, no, my schedule's getting away from me this week. That's just because, outside factors. No fist fighting with Gimp. I'm just not. Yeah, I got enough sleep, but I don't know. It's that doing that for 2 days really messed me up. I wasn't ready for it. I'll be ready for it again. As we get back to it, but something new. Take a detox from workers. I want to play workers. Outside factors, so stop going outside. Oh. I'm going to play workers for a little bit, guys. We got Flame Trench happening at 5. That's about 4 hours from now. And yeah, we'll go from there.